to the Real Authority. Today I'm talking about Happy Gilmore 2, the long-awaited sequel to Happy Gilmore. Basically, 3 decades after the original, Happy Gilmore has a family. In order to pay for ballet school that his daughter wants to get into, he basically returns to a world of golf and yada yada yada. He meets up with Shooter McGavin and a lot of other people, cameos. I'm going to keep this mostly spoiler-free, but when I give the rating, I'm going to get into spoilers. I've actually had a day to sit with the film, and it did not change as I expected. I adore the original Happy Gilmore, although I will admit it kind of got a bit weaker upon rewatch, but not enough to lose its charm. It's aged surprisingly well. Sad thing is, it represents everything that's kind of wrong with Adam Sandler comedies. Me, myself, I am not really a fan of his comedic work. I am more leaning toward his dramatic work in order to say, yes, I'm a fan. I like some of his comedies. Happy Gilmore is probably the best one, but the fact that it represents everything that Adam Sandler kind of adapted. Basically, Happy Gilmore became the blueprint for literally every Adam Sandler comedy that came out in the years since. It is kind of baffling, which is why people like me praise his performances in films such as Punch Drunk Love, Ran Over Me, and Uncut Gems, because he's genuinely good in there. I don't get why he doesn't choose to act in more serious work. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, but his comedy was always broken. He didn't fix it. So yeah, upon the announcement of Happy Gilmore 2, I did not have high expectations at all, and even the trailers did not really sell me toward the film actually being good. But I will say, after seeing it, and I actually tried recording a video yesterday, I'm going to get into spoilers, but I was basically frustrated at it. I'm a lot more calm now. Again, my opinion didn't really shift for the better or the worse, but I'm able to reflect on it in a more positive and calm light, I guess. I mean, yeah, it's very disappointing, but I had low expectations from the off, so I didn't really keep them high, because it's exactly what I expected it to be. Just another Adam Sandler comedy instead of a sequel to Happy Gilmore, and it's really depressing. I guess that's one of the reasons why I was upset, because it really did not feel like a worthy sequel in the slightest to the original Happy Gilmore. Again, felt like another Adam Sandler comedy, and usually those are unimpressive, and here's no different. Although I will yield, if you are a major fan of Adam Sandler comedies, you are going to get a lot out of this. Those who don't have the same feelings, pretty much not going to get a lot of this, myself included, but there are a few good things about it. No matter your opinions on the guy, Adam Sandler always commits to his work, and he still does as Happy Gilmore, even though I don't appreciate the direction they take his character this time. I do think that Adam Sandler does his best with the material, I guess, he created, but he usually commits. For better or worse, you gotta admire the guy for actually committing to the bit, I guess, for better and worse. But Adam Sandler really did a good job. Most of the actors do, although for the positives, I will acknowledge Bad Bunny. He's the character that got the most laughs out of me, even though the comedy is alright. I do feel with Bad Bunny, he was perfectly cast, and he really shows how much of a capable actor he could be. He's the one I feel had the most fun with his role, so I gotta give him credit. I also do feel the cinematography and the directing were fine. I don't know what else to say. I usually am able to credit them when they're good or worthy of praise, so worthy of praise here. And even though the comedy is inconsistent, I will get to more of that in the negatives. There were some jokes that I can't deny I laughed at, not as much as the original Happy Gilmore, but there were some jokes that, yeah, I had a quick chuckle. And even though it doesn't really benefit the story, Adam Sandler movies usually have cameos. So cameos galore here. Most of them don't even make any sense. Just on a surface level, it is fun to see how many cameos this film has. Most Adam Sandler movies, the actors feel like they're having fun. It may not translate into the final product, but you know what? They're having fun. Gotta give them credit. Finally, the movie doesn't really lock in until the finale, but when it does, it's enjoyable. The finale, the ending golf tournament, really did work for what it was setting up. I may not like the last 5 minutes in particular, because it really did feel I'm getting into negatives way too soon, but I did enjoy mostly the finale. Unfortunately, even though the finale left me on a more fulfilled note, I guess I just keep coming back to all its issues. Like, I know it's supposed to be dumb fun, but Happy Gilmore, like, it just ran with it and it worked, but it also had a sense of realism and heart. This movie tries to have heart, but its realism is literally out the window. Like, it feels like it's not even set in the same world as Happy Gilmore, and you can get that in the first 5 minutes, which I will not go into detail about because this is not the spoiler section of the video, but the first 5 minutes will probably piss off a lot of people, fan or not. Back to the comedy, it's really middling. Again, I laughed a few times, but it really does feel like Move the mic back a bit. The movie's trying to be a all-out comedy, and not all of that works. I felt like the first Happy Gilmore had a lot more restraint. This one loses it a bit, even though it tries to go for a dramatic approach that I don't think entirely works. Plus, the screenplay relying on so many jokes that kind of fall flat makes the movie a bit of a drag at a lot of points. Even though stretches of it are engaging, I do feel for the most part a lot of the time in this movie just really doesn't feel engaging. It really does feel tedious. And I feel if you do not connect with the comedy, you are going to feel that immeasurably. Because the first Happy Gilmore had great pacing, but also that kept in the podcast a solid 90 minutes. This one's 1 hour and 57 minutes, so it just goes on. Plus, moving on to my next point, I think about 5 to 10% of that time is spent actually using footage from the original movie for, like, no reason. Like, there were a lot of moments where it, like, took directly from the original, but it makes it feel like it's trying to be Happy Gilmore again, like trying to recap audiences to the best of their ability. But this movie misunderstands that people most likely watched the original in preparation for this. So we would know if they reused lines from the original because we literally just saw the original Happy Gilmore. I was annoyed with it in Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. I'm more annoyed with it here. More importantly, they try to, like Mission Impossible, connect new characters with old ones in a very unsatisfying way, although I will say Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning did it better, because the characters they try to connect to the original really do not have much to do. In fact, a lot of the characters they bring back, aside from, of course, Happy Gilmore, have nothing to do. It's so weird. Even the new characters don't really have that much, unfortunately. It really does feel like this movie is trying to rely on the humor rather than developing its own story, and that's to its detriment. Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't be a comedy, but I feel like a more serious approach to the Happy Gilmore story would have been a lot better. And unfortunately, the movie tries to balance out a comedic tone with a very dramatic tone, and I don't feel it worked because both of them are clashing so heavily that neither of them leave much of an impact. The rest of what I have to say is going to have to be saved for spoilers, so I'll wrap this spoiler-free section a bit. If you are a fan of Adam Sandler comedies and just do not have a lot of issues with them, or pretty much are okay with the same formula being reused instead of it trying to be a natural, fulfilling continuation of the first Happy Gilmore, you'll likely have fun with it. But for everybody else and those who especially hold Happy Gilmore to such a high pedestal, you'll just find yourself disappointed. Like, I don't even know if fans are going to appreciate it more than the original. However, since I took a day to rest on the review, I did look at what other people thought, and right now Rotten Tomatoes has it higher than the original, which I don't get. You can like this movie or you can dislike this movie all you want. I'm just providing you my own opinion, which is that of disappointment. I'm not really a big fan of Adam Sandler. Maybe that attributed to how much I just didn't connect with it. I'm not really sure. If you are a major Adam Sandler fan, you'll definitely have a hoot with this, and I can approve it for those reasons. But for everybody else, I can't really exactly recommend it. Even the flaws, I can't even get at that break-even point in which I can see equal good or bad. So unfortunately, I hate to do this, but I have to give it the real authority's rejection for the rest of the people watching this for it. Okay, so if you haven't seen the movie yet or are planning to see it, you should probably avoid this section because I'm going full in on spoilers. I'm only going to mention the points that really stood out to me. Of course, we gotta mention the first 5 minutes. They kill off Virginia, who was the main love interest of the original Happy Gilmore, and that kind of dissatisfied me for numerous reasons. The first is I'm pretty sure Adam Sandler tried to get Julie Bowen to return for this role. Like, she's so important, we need this actress back. And they only utilize her for, no joke, 5 minutes. She really doesn't have a presence. She doesn't really leave a lasting impression. That basically makes Happy Gilmore a single parent. I know grief can affect people in different ways, but the way they portray how Happy Gilmore does it was kind of odd, especially considering how he acted in the first movie. He just basically becomes a drunk. I don't know if the movie was trying to make it a joke that he basically puts alcohol in household items. I don't know if they were playing it off as a joke, and I understand that people may go to these lengths in order to satisfy their alcoholism. Yeah, it was so strange. Stranger even that even when he stops drinking, which is after an incident where he tries golf again but intoxicated. This is a scene where two superstars in Eric Andre and Margaret Qualley show up. To be honest, I was actually only excited for this movie because of Qualley. She literally only has 5 minutes in this movie. But I mean, yeah, he tries to golf, in which they try to recreate that censoring joke from the original, in which he curses so much that they censor it. This time, there's no cameras, they just try to cut off the joke. They just try to cut off the cursing before he's able to finish because PG-13, ladies and gentlemen. We gotta make it safe for kids. He rides the golf cart and injures the three. I know there's someone else there, but Andre and Quali are the only actors I recognize. See, cameos. Too many, not everyone you can recognize. So yeah, it goes to rehab, in which Ben Stiller's character's there, and then he returns to golf, in which he goes back to his original club, but there's another club that is trying to change the course of golf, I guess, and they are more futuristic. They are trying to change the game of golf, and I think later in the movie they explain how they were able to fracture one of the bones in their body in order to make them more flexible and able to swing faster and further, which doesn't really go anywhere, which was something that I think you can say about a lot of things in this movie. A lot of things just happen and they don't really go anywhere. I think I said earlier that it's not really grounded in reality. Like, maybe something like that could happen, but there were a lot of other things that just did not make any sense. Next point I want to make, Happy Gilmore has to get into the top 5 best golf players in order to go into a rivalry against the other team, I guess. This is so confusing. The original was more simplistic. So it's Mother's Day on the last day of the tournament, so he basically has to try to keep focus and not let grief overtake him, but it does, to the point where he literally stored alcohol in his phone and just begins drinking again, which caused him a massive fine, and coincidentally actually made it to the top 5 because Haley Joel Osment was one of the players and he was from the other team. This is so complicated. Why are you so complicated, Happy Gilmore 2? So yeah, he made the money for the ballet school, but then got it taken away from him. So the next few minutes comprises of Happy Gilmore, like, reconciling with his family, I'm pretty sure, in which it's a very rowdy bunch, enough so that only the main daughter character matters. The rest are, like, Happy Gilmore Juniors before he joined golf. Actually, I'm not sure if there are any other points I want to bring up at the moment, so I might as well delve deeper into the fan service. They really do try to bring back characters in weird ways. Like the original caddy, he's basically now a player, and he really does not add much. Of course, Carl Weathers died, so he couldn't reprise his role as Chubbs Peterson, so they introduced his son, who basically does nothing except be there. Out of the new characters they introduced while trying to connect back to the original, maybe Eminem's cameo was the best one, but it's also the one that makes a lot less sense. I'm pretty sure Happy Gilmore's kids commit murder, and they just don't question it. They're like, okay, we have our first casualty on the golf course. I find that very hard to believe. That's just not good. The characters they actually do bring back, other than one, they don't really matter. Said one is Shooter McGavin. I do feel that McGavin actually has a lot here to do, at least in an intriguing way. I won't say it's great because it really takes a while for Shooter to justify his inclusion. But yeah, he's here. He's cool, I guess. He's Shooter McGavin. He's the guy. Also, remember how I said the finale was satisfying for the most part, but then after that it tries to recreate a bit the same conclusion as the original. In fact, they rip from the original's conclusion. You see Chubbs Peterson, Abraham Lincoln, and the alligator again, which sure, I guess is fine, but it's kind of a bit redundant. But then they try to duplicate that with other celebrities who either passed away in canon or not. Good to see Bob Barker in this. And finally, Virginia, but it really does feel like it's trying to duplicate it in a way that doesn't entirely feel satisfying, at least on my end. And then he basically can't start his car, so he just walks away with his golf clubs, and that's the end of the movie. And yeah, the jokes kind of feel juvenile, and also, is it me, or is the de-aging they did in the opening just very off? Yeah, I'm probably going to end it there. Let me know what you thought of Happy Gilmore 2 in the red screen. Let me know what you thought of Happy Gilmore 2 in the comments, no spoilers, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. This was a really long one, so hopefully you enjoyed it. And make sure to check out my other videos and check out my future videos, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. It's on Netflix, so you can watch it if you want, but yeah, didn't really enjoy it. Watch the original. That's gold. Peace.